it going, everybody? And welcome back to another review for episode 3 of Tokyo Ghoul Re, where once again, we had another average episode this week, and my god, the pacing for this episode. Studio Period is trying to get to the auction raid as quickly as possible, and I don't know why that is, because they have so much setup that they could do to make the impact of the auction raid that much better. But I guess they just want to get to the action scenes as quickly as possible. Screw character development. We want to see these characters beat the ever-living shit out of each other. That's why we're here. But in all seriousness, average episode nonetheless, but there were scenes in here that I did actually like and enjoy. I liked getting to see the QS squad break into Saiko's room. I love that entire sequence right there. And also, I think everyone can enjoy the dance club scene. Many people have been looking forward to that, and I think it delivered, minus leaving a few things out here and there, but just getting to see Saiko dancing, Shirazu for some reason hitting on a dude, which I was like, that is weird, but hilarious at the same time. And shockingly enough, I was like, damn, Heise looks cute, and I feel very weird for saying that. So overall, I walked away from this episode saying to myself, that wasn't a half bad episode. I mean, I can still tell the pacing is at ludicrous speed, but it was okay. But as I sat on the episode thinking about what points I wanted to say, what I wanted to talk about, I consulted with Volume 2, and I just slowly began to realize, like, damn, they did, like, cut out a lot of stuff within here. And as I was going through the manga, I'm just thinking to myself, that backstory would have been nice to see animated. Why'd they cut out that training sequence? I would have loved to see Juzo throwing up his knives. Why are they keeping Mitsuki's gender a secret in this anime adaptation? This right now is what I'm thinking about as I am just going through these episodes and looking at the full potential that this series can have, and just seeing it falling on its face. I'm like, oh man, you could do so much better. So with all that being said, guys, I am going to touch upon some of the sections within this episode, talking about what I enjoyed, what I didn't like, some of the stuff that maybe could have been done better. But first and foremost, we have to talk about the manga material that was cut out of this episode. Because now revisiting Volume 2, there are certain panels and sequences I was looking forward to seeing adapted, and they were just completely cut out of this episode. So I'm a little upset by that. But now I have the perfect video clip to encompass and just embody what I want to do with this series after some of these sequences and panels from the manga have not been adapted. So let's dive right into it, guys, with first and foremost. I think everybody noticed this right out of the gate. This episode forgot Toka entirely. I'm not sure where she went, but this episode did not touch upon or even go back to Heise meeting Toka for the very first time. We also are getting little to none of the QS squad doing actual CCG investigation work into this Nutcracker case. And it's kind of been the same problem with the torso case we had in the first couple of episodes, because we are following the CCG, we are following the QS squad, and we don't really see a lot of investigation work coming from these characters. Whenever they are talking about a case, it's always from another squad, and the QS squad seems like they're just getting lucky within this adaptation, and they kind of just tell us how they arrived at these conclusions. Sure, we see the QS squad go to the dance club, and Mitsuki is able to go undercover getting a job from Nutcracker, but they don't really demonstrate very well how they got in that situation in the first place. And speaking of the dance club, even though that is my favorite section within this episode, it cuts out Heise explaining why he treats Saiko differently, why he babies her, because we come to learn about Saiko's upbringing and backstory, but also we begin to dive into Shirazu's mindset as well, about how he's worried about the possibility of Heise regaining his memories and forgetting about the QS members. We also don't know why Torso is obsessed with Mitsuki within this adaptation, which really bugs me as to why they're keeping this mystery behind Mitsuki's gender a secret. I'm basically just going to drop the formalities right now, so spoiler alert to anime onlys. Mitsuki is a girl, and Torso has a fetish for girls with scars. That right there is his kink, and he's on a mission to get that quink. And you know that new character, Matsuri Washu, that we meet in this episode? no backstory whatsoever. And I think his backstory could have been used in this section because then we would have understand the dire situation Mitsuki would have been going in alone, because Matsuri Washu is basically known as the investigator killer. He has the highest investigator mortality rate under his command, and he doesn't care how many investigators die as long as the job gets done. So knowing that Juzo, realizing this, offered to go in with Mitsuki makes that scene right there make a lot more sense. And during all of the training, nowhere do we get to see Juzo training Mitsuki in the art of knives. I would have loved to seen that animated within this section, getting to see Juzo just flipping knives all around his body. But then on the other side of things, Hanbi would have been showing Shirazu and Saiko the body of Shinohara and telling them how much this has impacted Juzo and how he's grown and matured as a character. So as you can see, guys, this stuff being cut out upsets me kind of a lot, because this would have contributed very greatly to character development, character growth, and getting to see them develop over the course of this series. But as this series has shown time and time again, it doesn't care about development, it's all about the action sequences. So I'm done harping on that negative aspect of this episode, but now let's go through the actual episode and talk about what I really enjoyed about this adaptation. And starting off with Shu just smelling a piece of Heise's underwear being brought to him by Kane was weird but enjoyable at the same time, because you just expect Shu to be laying there smelling it and being like, nostalgic, but I don't really know anything about this smell. But also for anime onlys, they gotta be wondering what's going on with Shu right now, because he's bedridden and seems very sickly. What is going on with Shu? And as we move forward in the episode, we have this small brief scene of Urei getting acknowledged by Arima, which I'm really glad they kept that in there, because for Urei's character, that is a big deal. The top dog himself, Arima, the top investigator, acknowledged me. So I am really glad that they kept that scene in there. But besides the dancing scene in the middle of this episode, getting to see the QS squad break down Saiko's door, everything with Saiko within this episode was pure gold. Her facial expressions, just by the way that she was acting. And I like that scene in particular, not only for Saiko, because it shows Urei's smarts and his cunning intellect, because he is using this situation to basically make the team worse. He wants it to be in bad shape so that way Heise can look at all this and be like, okay, I need to reinstate as the leader of this squad, because he knows that Saiko is just meant for trouble. She's very lazy. She doesn't want to do a lot of the investigation work, and Urei knows that. So I liked getting to see that within this episode, and it just goes to reinforce for me, back in the early days of Tokyo Ghoul Re, Urei was a dick. But as we can see later on at the investigation meeting, Urei's plan kind of backfires because Shirazu is successful at getting Saiko to that meeting. But this meeting actually gives us our reintroduction into Juzo's character. My boy Juzo, one of my favorite characters out of all of Tokyo Ghoul. I love getting to see his character again, moving around, being so happy and animated, getting to hear his voice. Him reaching for snacks in Heise's coat was very nice to see. I miss this character, and I cannot wait to see what he is going to do during the auction raid. Studio Period, please animate the scene that everyone is waiting for with Juzo's character. If you do not do that, I'm going to be super pissed. But if that sequence is adapted properly, it's going to be an awesome and badass scene for Juzo. So I am looking forward to next week's episode for that particular scene. But as we move forward in this episode, I think this sequence by far was everyone's favorite, the dance club scene. Getting to see all of our characters dressed up as women, I think is pretty funny to see. Saiko is just enjoying herself. Shirazu at one point was trying to hit on a guy. Heise is really getting into character right now, and Mitsuki is having a tough time with this because all the guys are glaring at her, and she does not like that. And that falls into place with that mysterious reveal of her gender, which I don't know why the studio decided to keep that a secret, because we found that out pretty early in the manga, and I don't know why they would kind of leave that a secret. But I don't know, I'm not the one adapting it, so you do what you do. And we also see the return of two familiar faces within this sequence, Nico and Roma. These two immediately pick Heise out in his drag queen attire, and they are looking at him and like, wow, look, it's Heise, or should I say Kaneki. Gee, I really do miss the old Kaneki. His life was so tragic. I love getting to laugh at his misery. Wouldn't it be a lot of fun if we could just kill off Heise and have the old Kaneki back? And I'm watching this scene and I'm like, gee, that's not gonna happen by the ending of this season. So for the remainder of the episode, we basically are gearing up for the start of the auction raid. We come to see that Juzo and Mitsuki are both going to infiltrate the auction disguised as women. Eto has this brief scene where she tells Ayato that he's going to provide security to Big Madam, but then we have this nice training montage over the span of a week of Heise training Shirazu, Mitsuki, and Saiko. And I'm really glad they threw that in here because it goes to show the growth that the battle combat that Shirazu, Mitsuki, and Saiko will be on par and better once the auction raid actually starts. Plus, having Ama Lee singing during the sequence was very cool to see. If you guys don't know her, she has her own YouTube channel where she does anime covers. Getting to know that she provided songs for this episode is really cool to see. And there we have it, guys. That is the ending of episode 3 for Tokyo Ghoul. Again, an average episode, but now we have the start of the auction raid coming next episode. And I'm actually looking forward to episode 4 because I want to see that badass Juzo scene animated. But I'm not going to get my hopes up too high because I do not have faith in the studio to adapt it properly. But if they do, then the episode has a leg up in my book, pun intended. But now I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this episode. What were your positives? What were your negatives? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys want to keep up when I'm talking about Tokyo Ghoul outside of YouTube, feel free to follow me on Twitter. A link can be found in the description below. And if you guys don't already know, I cover the manga of Tokyo Ghoul on my channel. Go check out my live reactions and reviews. I have a lot of fun talking about this series. I just get disappointed when I'm talking about the anime version of Tokyo Ghoul, but that's going to do it for me, guys. So until episode 4 comes out next week, or unless I catch you in my live reaction and review to the latest chapter of the Tokyo Ghoul manga, I'll talk to you guys next time.